So as Simon Sinek says, what you do simply proves what you believe. So today we're going to talk about mission. So we at 10 Capital talk a ton about mission. We talk about mission with our clients, talk about mission internally. What's the mission of the company? What are we helping our clients try and achieve? But really defining those goals through this mindset of mission. I've recently had the ability to go back to school. I'm almost done with my master's in financial planning. And I had a wonderful course through Banajak Prof over at Wentworth, so thank you. But really is focused on leadership and strategic marketing. And I was reintroduced to Simon Sinek, somebody that used to read all the time and haven't for quite some time. We got back into defining one's why to create that chassis of mission to work off of, both in your personal life and working life. And he does this in a really definitive way through something called his golden circle. My wife Tasha and I have been talking to our three kiddos, Oliver, Hazel, Jude, 10, 8, and 6. We've been teaching them about money. So we bring out those old save, spend, give jars that I'm sure a lot of you have done in your own life and with your own kids or your own grandkids. And it's been really kind of eye-opening. It was interesting. And when we started this whole kind of process with these little kiddos, we'd have kind of one-off conversations about what is saving, what is spending, what is giving, all these things. But inevitably every single week or every single month when we got their allowance, we let them make the decision as to what jars they put their money in. When we didn't have a clear mission statement or something like that, a lot of it went to the spend jar or the save jar, not as much so in the give jar. And so what my wife and I have been talking to our little kids about consistently over time is this idea of giving and why it's important and how money, it's just a resource. It's nothing to worship. It's simply it's time, energy, money. That's what we got. It's simply a resource to put into things, to move the needle for things in our life that we care about. There was kind of a light bulb moment with my kids, and it just kind of happened organically because honestly, my wife and I are sick and tired of asking the same why questions to them. But we let them actually choose a charity, and it was up to these three little kids to decide what our family giving was going to look like this year and where those give jars were going to go and to what 501c3s or nonprofits or charities. Instantaneously, all three of them agreed on the animal shelter here. And so once we agreed upon that and the kids bought into that, all of a sudden the meaning behind the give jar went up astronomically. And every single week, we almost had to talk them into not putting all of their money in the give jar and putting it into the save and the spend jar. But it's incredible as we've kind of gone through this whole concept, all of a sudden they had purpose and a mission behind the money. More than anything, they said, hey, we want to move the needle for this common purpose, this common good, and they're rowing in the same direction, which is amazing. And so I thought I'd bring that story up because it was just incredible as kind of overlapping with me going through this process and going through this, Simon Sinek calls it his golden circle, and starting with why, how, and what. And we'll talk about that in just a minute. But this is a really organic story and way that my kids have kind of gone through that process in a non-structured way. It just kind of worked out that way. And I was thinking through this going, oh my gosh, like we could absolutely use this with clients. So I've actually used this with clients a little bit as well and really gotten back into this idea, especially talking through family mission statements on the gifting standpoint to charities around what's the purpose, what's the why, knowing that money is just a resource to get the entire family on track. And it's been absolutely amazing. So let's talk a little bit more about Simon Sinek's golden circle, what that means and why it's so important. As Simon Sinek has also said, mission drives action. And what you've gotten through that story, hopefully, was that once you have mission, the ability to create action around and influence and move the needle for the things that are important to you in your life. If you think about why, how, and what, with why being the bullseye of what you're actually trying to work towards, he would argue that too many times in our lives we're unintentionally living, meaning that we're not necessarily trying to work towards the why, we're more focused on the how or the what. By doing that, we're actually, as humans, doing this in the wrong order. So people don't necessarily, if we're thinking about it in the workplace, have a clear sense of what is this organization about? Or with our family or our family foundation and what you're trying to do from a family legacy standpoint, maybe it hasn't been communicated to your kids. what's the purpose of all this wealth that we've accumulated over time? Or what are we trying to impact or do within our lives? And when we start thinking about multi-generational wealth planning, so much of it needs to start with the mission, and we'll figure the money out later. We'll figure out what jars to stuff those dollars into. The save, give, spend jars is what I'm referring to. And almost think about this with the mindset and the simplicity of a child. I think we can actually have massive impact. So to end this, just to leave you with a little bit of something, my personal why as a wealth advisor is to exist, is that I exist to align one's resources with their life's purpose, and in turn helping you, my client, maximize really your life's purpose. And that's why I get out of bed every single day. It's not about the dollars and cents necessarily. It's really about helping you, my client, or prospective client, live your why and work towards the things that are ultimately the most important to you. With that, have a wonderful week.